My husband said a red lace thong in his coat pocket was just a gym prank. I played along. Until I exposed him and his mistress at our dinner party. My name's Emma. I'm 32. A freelance graphic designer living in the Chicago suburbs. I work from home, drink too much coffee, and used to think I had a stable, if slightly boring marriage. My husband, Daniel, is 35. He works in corporate sales, which basically means he's always on the road, meeting clients, chasing deals, attending last-minute events, and staying in hotels more often than he sleeps in our bed. We've been married for 7 years. People always say that's the danger zone in marriage, but I never thought much of it. We didn't fight, we didn't scream, but somewhere along the way, we stopped laughing, stopped touching, stopped being married. Daniel wasn't cruel, he was polite. Cold, but polite. He always told me he loved me, usually over text, and usually when I asked first. When he was home, he was distracted. Always on a call, glued to his phone or passed out in front of the TV. He hadn't initiated sex in months, not since August. At first, I thought it was stress. Then I thought it was me. I started noticing little things. He stopped saying, "I'm home," when he walked through the door. He'd come back from work or trips and head straight to the shower without so much as a kiss. His phone was always on silent, always face down. One night, it buzzed at 2 a.m., and he grabbed it so fast you'd think it was going to explode. I didn't ask. I didn't want to start a fight I wasn't ready to finish. But then came the thing I couldn't ignore. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Daniel had just returned from a conference in Minnesota. He dropped his suitcase by the door and went upstairs to take a nap. I started unpacking his things like I always did. Jacket, shirts, charger, the usual mess. His winter coat smelled off, like cigarettes and something sweet. Not his usual deodorant, more like perfume, cheap perfume. When I reached into the inside pocket, I felt something soft and crumpled. I pulled it out. It was a red lace thong, tiny, delicate, intimate, still warm from being in his coat. It smelled like perfume, something floral, aggressive, cheap but trying to be expensive. It was not mine. It was not accidental. This was not something that could be explained away. I stared at it, heart pounding, ears ringing. There was something humiliatingly feminine about holding another woman's underwear in your hands. Like her scent was taunting me, whispering, "I've been where you sleep." I didn't cry. I didn't even feel angry. Not yet. What I felt was a kind of cold clarity. Like time slowed down, and all the pieces I'd been ignoring started falling into place. The late nights, the excuses, the sudden interest in working out again, the locked phone, the distance. I stood in the laundry room, holding that thing like it was radioactive. And for the first time in months, I said out loud, "He's cheating on me." Later that night, I didn't mention it right away. I needed to see what he'd say. After dinner, while he scrolled through his phone like I wasn't even there, I walked over and placed the thong on the coffee table in front of him. "This was in your coat," I said. Daniel looked down. His eyes widened just a bit before narrowing. He leaned forward, picked it up between 2 fingers, and smirked. "What the hell is this?" "You tell me." He hesitated for maybe 2 seconds, then shrugged. "Must have been from the gym. Guys mess around sometimes. Probably a prank." A prank. A red lace thong. In his coat pocket. From the gym. Because guys mess around. It was so laughably stupid, I almost thanked him. Because now I knew, without a shred of doubt, that he was lying. And worse, he thought I was dumb enough to believe it. I said nothing, just nodded. Okay. Then I went upstairs, closed the bedroom door, and sat on the edge of the bed in silence. That night, while he snored beside me, I lay awake, eyes open, staring into the dark. The thong was in my desk drawer now, hidden under some receipts. Not because I wanted to keep it, but because I needed the reminder. Whoever she was, she wanted me to find it. It wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. This wasn't just infidelity. It was a message, a declaration, and I was done being silent. After I found the red thong in his coat, something inside me clicked. Or maybe it snapped. Either way, I stopped pretending. I didn't confront him again. Not yet. What would be the point? He'd just lie. No, I needed facts. I needed something real. So I did what any woman in my position would do. I started watching, quietly, carefully. I didn't change how I acted around Daniel. If anything, I became nicer, sweeter. I kissed him goodnight. I made his favorite coffee in the morning. I asked about his meetings and laughed at his tired jokes. I played the role of the oblivious, loving wife so well I think I almost convinced myself. But behind the scenes, I was documenting everything. I kept a notebook in my office drawer. Every time he came home late, I wrote it down. When he took calls in the garage, noted. Showered right after walking in the door, marked. Random charges at restaurants I'd never heard of, screenshot. I checked our credit card statements every morning like it was the news. He was slipping, getting sloppy, and I was wide awake now. One night, I waited until he fell asleep. I knew his passcode. He'd changed it a few months ago, but I caught a glimpse one day while he was texting. He always thought I was too non-confrontational to snoop. He was right, until now. I held my breath as I opened his phone and went straight to his messaging apps. Nothing. WhatsApp, empty. Signal, deleted, classic. Then I checked his email. That's when I found it. It was an email from a Gmail account I didn't recognize. No name, just a string of random letters. Subject line, miss me? Inside, a single photo attachment. I tapped it. It was a mirror selfie, a woman in red lace lingerie. Red, like the thong. She was standing in a hotel room, holding Daniel's phone in one hand. And in the background, on the chair, was his coat. The same damn coat. I couldn't see her face, just her body, her long dark hair, and her confidence. She wasn't trying to hide. She wanted me to see it. She wanted me to know. I looked at the sender's email again and started digging. First the email address, then the recovery hint. It took less than 10 minutes to trace it to a connected Instagram. Her name was Sophie Wills. And when I saw her profile photo, my heart sank. I knew her. Not just vaguely, not as some distant acquaintance. Sophie and I went to college together. We were in the same graphic design program. We weren't close, but I remembered her vividly. Always dressed to impress, always flirting with someone else's boyfriend. She had this way of walking into a room and making other women feel small. I never liked her, and I don't think she ever liked me either. We'd only spoken one-on-one a few times, but one moment came flooding back. Senior year, my friend Abby had been dating this guy, Max. One night, Sophie got drunk at a party and ended up hooking up with him. It blew up. People talked about it for weeks. Sophie tried to play the victim, saying she didn't know they were together. But Abby showed her the texts, the pictures, everything. I remember Sophie's face. She wasn't sorry. She was smug. Like it was a game to her. And now, years later, she was in my life. In my marriage. Wearing red lace and sending pictures to my husband. I felt sick. I closed the email, put the phone back exactly how I found it, and went to the bathroom. I stared at myself in the mirror for a long time. My face looked pale, tired, older than it should have. I wasn't sad anymore. I was furious. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't a mistake. This was a woman who knew exactly what she was doing. And Daniel? He wasn't some confused man, led astray. He chose her. He chose to humiliate me, quietly, repeatedly. The next morning, I smiled as I handed him his coffee. He kissed my cheek and told me he might be home late again. I said, no problem. I even offered to pack him some snacks for the drive. He had no idea that I knew who she was, no idea that I was done playing the fool, and no idea that everything in our life was about to change. After I found out who she was, after I saw her red lace selfies, her smug messages, and her disgusting little voice notes, I stopped feeling angry. I felt focused. Sophie Wills. A name I hadn't thought about since college. Now sleeping with my husband, wearing my favorite color, parading her lingerie like a trophy. And Daniel, still pretending like nothing was wrong. Like I couldn't smell her perfume on his shirts, or hear the shift in his tone every time he said he was working late. Fine. I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I studied them both. I gave them rope. And then I built the gallows. I waited exactly 1 week, just long enough for things to settle, for Daniel to stop watching me out of the corner of his eye. He thought I had moved on, that I believed his ridiculous gym prank story, that I was still too naive or too scared to dig deeper. He was wrong. One night over dinner, I set the stage. I told him I was thinking of hosting a little get-together, something small, just some people from his team, a couple old friends. I said I missed our old dinner parties, back when our house felt alive. I wanted to bring back some of that spark, I said. He blinked, unsure. Okay, like when? Next weekend, maybe. Nothing big. Just wine, food, casual. I want to meet some of your newer coworkers. That last sentence landed hard. I saw it. He hesitated, only for a moment, but then he nodded. Yeah, that sounds good. He thought he was safe. He thought I was still playing wife. I didn't invite Sophie. I didn't have to. I dropped the idea into the office grapevine through a mutual contact, someone who followed both Sophie and me on Instagram. I made sure the right person overheard just enough. I knew Sophie. She wouldn't wait for a formal invite. She'd show up dressed to kill, ready to gloat. Let her. While they played games, I built evidence. I archived every message from her fake confessions, downloaded voice notes, screenshots, the hotel selfies. I printed copies, backed them up in the cloud. I even emailed a full packet to myself from a burner account, just in case. And then, the day came. I cleaned the house top to bottom, cooked everything myself, Daniel's favorite pasta, homemade bread, that one chocolate tart he always bragged about to his colleagues. I wore a deep red dress, fitted, elegant, not over the top. The kind of red that says, I'm not angry, I'm dangerous. Guests arrived. Laughter, music, the clinking of glasses. Daniel played host like nothing was wrong. Toasted with old co-workers. Chatted with a neighbor like he hadn't blown up our marriage in silence. And then, she walked in. Sophie. She wore black, tight, shiny, smug. Her lipstick matched the lace she sent me in that photo. She greeted Daniel like a secret, one hand brushing his shoulder too familiarly. I saw his smile twitch. He hadn't expected her to be bold, but he didn't stop her. She turned to me, all innocence. Emma, wow, you look great. Didn't know you still hosted these. I smiled like a knife. Only for special guests. We played the game through dinner. I let her feel like she was winning. I let him sweat. The air felt thicker by the minute. And then dessert came. I stood up, tapped my spoon against my glass, and said, before everyone heads home, I'd like to show a little something to celebrate the amazing connections in this room. Daniel froze. Sophie blinked. I picked up the remote. The TV lit up. First, a screenshot of Sophie's messages to my fake profile. He told me she's cold. Their marriage is basically dead. Then, a voice message. Sophie laughing, saying, he sleeps better with me than with her. Then came the photo. Red lace, hotel bed. Daniel sleeping. No ring. Gasps. Silence. Daniel stood up, pale. Emma, what is this? I cut him off with a look. No need to lie. Everyone's seen enough. I walked over to the coffee table and pulled out a thick envelope. Inside, printed divorce papers, filed and signed. I handed it to him. Congratulations, I said. You're free now, just like you acted. Sophie grabbed her purse and walked out without a word. Daniel followed me to the kitchen, his voice breaking. Emma, please, this is insane. Can we talk? I stared at him. You let her leave a pair of red lace panties in your coat pocket like it was a trophy. And you thought I wouldn't find it. You didn't even try to hide it. He said nothing. You thought I'd stay quiet forever. You were wrong. Then I turned around and walked out of my own house. I left that night with nothing but my purse and a folder of signed papers. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't look back. I checked into a hotel across town for a few days. Gave myself space to breathe, to sleep without pretending. I filed the divorce officially on Monday morning. My lawyer said Daniel hadn't even contacted anyone yet. He was still processing, whatever that means. I didn't wait for his reaction. I had already seen everything I needed in his eyes. when the screen lit up with Sophie's messages. He wasn't sorry, he was caught. There's a difference. 2 months later, the papers were finalized. He tried reaching out a few times, text messages at first, then long voicemails, and once an actual letter. He said he missed me, that he made a mistake, that he never meant to hurt me. He even said Sophie was unstable, and that they weren't seeing each other anymore. I didn't reply, because I wasn't the same woman anymore. In the weeks after I left, I focused entirely on rebuilding. Not just my life, but myself. I rented a small apartment downtown, cozy and full of light. I painted the walls, got new furniture. Nothing reminded me of our old house. No gray walls, no cold countertops, no fake smiles. I started going to yoga every morning, at first just to distract myself. But over time, it became something more. I got certified. I met women, strong, broken, funny, angry, healing. And for once, I felt like I wasn't alone in the mess. 6 months later, I opened a small studio. I called it the Red Room. A little on the nose, maybe. But it felt right. Because that color used to make me sick. It used to be the color of betrayal, of humiliation, of lace stuffed into coat pockets. Now it was the color of control, of choice, of power. One Saturday afternoon, I was locking up after class when I saw him outside. Daniel. He looked smaller, not physically, but somehow deflated. He asked if we could talk. I said no. He said, "Please, just 5 minutes." I agreed, out of curiosity, not kindness. We sat on a bench by the coffee shop next door. He told me he missed me, that he messed everything up, that Sophie had been a phase, that it meant nothing, that he thought I didn't love him anymore. I was just lonely, he said, and she made me feel seen. I laughed. Funny, that's exactly how I felt while I was married to you. He looked away, no defense. I didn't come here to get back together, I said. I just wanted you to see me, the version of me you never bothered to pay attention to. She's doing fine. He nodded slowly, said he understood. I don't think he did. A week later, I saw Sophie at a women's networking event of all places. She was sitting alone near the back, no makeup, hair tied in a loose bun. She looked different, not glamorous, not dangerous, just tired. We made eye contact. She froze. I didn't walk over. I didn't need to. Because that was the moment I realized I wasn't angry anymore. She could keep whatever pieces were left of Daniel. I wasn't competing. I wasn't reclaiming. I had already won the only thing that mattered, myself. They thought they broke me, thought I'd melt into a pile of tears and forgiveness or rage. But I didn't break. I rebuilt. And when I look back at that red lace thong, yes, I still have it, tucked away in a box in my closet. It doesn't hurt anymore. It reminds me of the moment I woke up, the moment I stopped shrinking, the moment I realized I deserved more than someone who made me feel invisible. It was never just about cheating. It was about power, about control, about silence. And now I speak.